everyone, and welcome to another episode of Don't You Know Who I Am? In today's episode, we're going to talk about lifestyle. Here we're going to look at some examples of things that you can do in your free time so that you can improve your work-life balance. So let's start. This episode is sponsored by The Reputation ID, for ambitious professionals only. You can find us on thereputationid.com. That is thereputationid.com. Lifestyle, what do I really mean? What I mean is all the things or the actions that you take to give your body other types of experiences other than food. And I heard this recently said by a doctor. They said if the only thing that you give your body is food, because you live through your food. At the end of the day, if the body was not excited with anything else, the body will ask for the only way to get dopamine for the day, and that's food. And that made me really, really sad. Not to have other experiences in your life to make your body forget that you need to eat. So what other types of experiences can you give to your body? You can look at everything that is stimulating your body. It can be physical or intellectual as well. You can look at books, museum, spending time with friends, going on holidays, or movies. And I remember that I studied in detail the science of well-being and how to be happy. And one of the things that is recommended, and I think today is a trend, is for us to count our memories through experiences. Because when you have a new experience, your body doesn't know the outcome, and it takes it and you go through all excitement of doing something new. So it gets you a little bit out of your comfort zone as well. So it's really a very good and memorable way to have a new experience. The only example that I have in my mind will be knowing how to drive. When you go for the first lesson to drive, you're there looking at a lot of things at once, and it's like, how can people do it? It's so complicated because it's new. Your brain is active. Your brain needs to learn a lot of new things. And then after 10 years of driving, you can do it with your eyes closed. Not really closed, but you know what I mean. So it's the same thing. Your body gets used to things, and if you give your body something new, they will experience it differently. They will learn and they will experience it fully. So you don't get into your automated mode of your brain, which is what we want. We want to make sure that our body is happy as well. So if you're one of the people who goes to work in the morning and then eats something, take out food, and then watches TV and start over again the next day, then we have a problem. You have a problem. Because your life is short and you have 8 hours out of 24 to use for work. And I always say that when you're at work, you should focus on work and do the best you can in those 8 hours a day. But when you're out of work, of course you have to sleep, which is another 8 hours. And you're left with the other 8 hours in between, which sometimes they go on commute, lunch breaks. It's a good exercise to try to think of things that you can do to improve your excitement that you give your stimulator for your brain. So for instance, in your commuting period, if you can, so for instance, if you're on a train, you can read a book. Or if you're in a car, you can listen to a book as well. Or to something fun. The news not necessarily to get you in a negative state, but more to get you updated with what's happening. This is important as well. When you think about museums, I used to do that with my sister. When it was raining outside, we would go to museums. It was just a little bit of learning about something new, seeing a painting, a sculpture, learning something new. You don't have to learn the whole museum experience, but you can learn about something new. And I remember some visits at the museums, something that I still remember today, which obviously the stimulator was high. When you talk about friends, well, spending time with friends and families has a very positive impact because it detaches you. So when you go home, you don't want to still think about work. You want to think or live in the moment. And that's really something. When you spend time with your friends, a joke or something external can change the whole thing. You just start laughing and you just enjoy the moment of being there. And I've seen this a lot, especially if you meet old friends, which I do recommend. I think it's a good way to reconnect with people that were at one point in your life. You go back through memories. It's actually a proven fact that if you go back through memories, you feel younger. So if you think of the time when you were in high school, dialogue with someone about your experience in high school, when you remember those things, you actually relive it. So wouldn't it be nice that every day you have something that later on in your life you want to relive? And we're including at work as well. You can create these lifetime memories as well, or experiences at work as well. Lunch break, coffee breaks. I encourage you to make friends at work as well. You can have your fun at work as well. So don't think about lifestyle after those 8 hours of work. But do think of lifestyle as a must-have in your life, as work-life balance. It's really important to disconnect of your work. The way you do it on holidays. So when you go on holidays, you're already living that experience when you book the tickets, when you already researching where you want to go. And you go on holidays and then buy something that remembers you, a souvenir. It can be a fragrance, it can be something physical, or even a recipe of something that is local, or something to stimulate your brain. This is something that I do a lot. I went to Korea, for instance, and I loved it. And sometimes I go and eat Korean food, and every time I do that, I go back to Korea and I remember that. And sometimes I actually take out the phone and look at the photos as well. So what I'm doing is I'm actually reliving something that I did already. So this is a very good way to disconnect as well. I think one of the exercises that I did in school, so that's for the young audience there. When you're in an exam and you have to focus, sometimes it doesn't come at you. One of the exercises that I learned in school was to try to draw a flower, something, a tree, or look out the window so that you disconnect, so that you can get back fresher. So this is a very good way to reconnect as well. So it's good to find ways to disconnect or to keep your brain stimulated as well. And another thing that you can include in your lifestyle would be your passions, something that you enjoy doing. So for instance, I used to start a new course on painting, drawing, or music, playing piano, and other things. Just have something that takes me out of comfort zone. Try to find out my passions as well. So if I don't know my passions, that would be a way for me to discover them. So going for a dance class as well, or trying to do something different, is definitely going to at least make you discover yourself more. And to have as many passions as possible, that's not a bad thing, is it? What I do for my lifestyle every day is I walk my dog. I do this is part of my routine now, so I don't even know if I can call it a lifestyle, but yeah, sure. Walking my dog and going to nature every weekend. For instance, we have a huge park here in Paris where I live. And we go there for a few hours on weekends. And we are spending time there walking, running, playing with the dog, and just being present. Just shutting down my thoughts and not thinking about anything, but just look at the leaves and at the nature and at the people there, like families with kids that are going for a walk. Even a rat sometimes, in France we have a lot of rats. It's a very good experience and I always enjoy going there, and I know my dog enjoys it. Type of lifestyle is really just trying to make sure that you are a live person, alive and a live version of yourself outside your working. So if you're doing nothing, as I said, you're just going to work, eating, watching TV and go to bed and repeat 5 times a week, try to change something about it. So for instance, in your work environment, what you can change is just take an extra break, just trying to relax, go and stretch your legs, go for a walk, go and say hi to someone from a different department, and try to include at least one interesting thing every week. Go out to see a play, to see a movie, whatever you're into. Try to find ways to make sure that you're stimulated as well. Because when you have an outside of work life, you're actually performing better at work as well. You're not staying in a negative environment, stressed mindset, where the only thing that you do, you're just resuming work. You leave work at 6 o'clock, go home, eat, watch a movie, go to sleep, and then you start back. It's kind of like you don't even have time to pause. In a way, it's kind of a continuous thing. You're staying in the same mindset and you don't actually disconnect. Whereas if you go to work, then you go for a walk with your dog or with your kids, then you're going to watch a movie at the cinema or go for a play or having a chat or a drink with one of your friends so that you exchange ideas. You forget about work. So then when you come back in the office in the morning, then you're just fresh. You have new ideas. You're refreshed. It's kind of like having a holiday, really. So it's very good to disconnect. Even with your colleagues, you can disconnect from your work at work because you're having a chat that makes you laugh, stimulates your brain with something like an interesting idea that you want to develop, enjoying the presence of someone who cracks jokes all the time, maybe that's you. But the whole idea of the lifestyle that I'm looking at is more about getting yourself disconnected from work, finding that work-life balance, finding something other interesting things that you can do and live your life. As the French say, savoir vivre, know how to live. So I really hope that you look at your life in a more playful way and try to incorporate as many things as possible to make you very interesting in any of your environments, be it at work or being outside of work. Wouldn't that be nice to be as fun and as amazing in your work and outside of it? So try to find what makes you unique, what makes you thrive. That's all I wanted to cover today. So give me your feedback and I'll talk to you soon. So glad you're with me on this journey. Don't you know who I am? If you are listening the podcast, whether it's Apple or Spotify, please, if you can, rate, review, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends. Have a comment below to share your view about this topic and maybe about what you would like to hear in the future. I'll see you next week. Thank you.